All right, guys, I've got a bunch of examples to share with you today, and they are all traps where a piece gets trapped early on in the game. And I think more or less every every example that I've got here, the trap occurs within the first 10 moves of the game. So what we're going to do, we're going to start pretty basic with a very common one, because it's actually the first one I'm going to show you. I've had this twice today playing against lower rated players. Okay, so we've got traps where you lose a bishop, we've got traps where you lose a knight, and even a couple of times when the queen gets trapped. So what I want you to take away from this is the vital importance. Before you move a piece somewhere, you should have at least something in your mind going, can my piece get out of this area if it gets attacked? All right, so let's just go. We're going to start very, very simple, very, very basic. All right, so here is a game I played this. So we're both 1400 rated. I think this may even be one from today. So I'm playing with the black pieces. My opponent starts with e4, and we've got the Scandinavian, all right, d5. And then the knight comes out. Now this is already risky ground, okay? Now what I do here, obviously it's begging for the knight to be kicked, and that then loses the initiative for white. White's going to have to move the knight a second time. And if the knight ends up moving here, you can be a very happy bunny, because the next move is e5. Now, what you should be thinking, or what white should have been thinking at this point is, okay, right, at this point, how many safe squares does my knight have? So let's have a look. All the squares. That's no good. That's no good because the pawn's got it. That's no good because the pawn's got it. That's no good because of knight, pawn, and queen. That's no good because of knight, bishop, king, and queen. That's no good because the queen can capture it. That's no good because of two pawns. And he can't even go there because of the dark squared bishop, right? So you need to remember this pattern. You need to lodge this in your brain cells, okay? If you bring your knight out in front of a pawn that can advance and attack it, do not stick it here, right? Remember this pattern. There's a square, 3 pawns, and a knight in the middle of the board. In this game, white now follows up. This is a 15 plus 10 game, right? Follows up with knight to f3, and then simply c6, attacks the knight, which as we go has nowhere to go, tries to go there, gets swallowed up by the bishop. Okay, next example. Here we go, very similar thing. Here my opponent's rated 869, and here I've got the white pieces. So I've got e4, we have e5, and d4. So this is the center game. Could lead to the Danish gambit if black accepts and white pushes c3. But in this case, again, we have the knight out to c6. So this is like the mirror image of what we've just seen. Okay, pawn attacks the knight, and black now thinks, knights love to be in the middle of the board. Let's put the knight in the middle of the board. Bang. Pawn pushes. Again, the knight has nowhere to go, right? There is no quicker way to set yourself up to lose a game than to blunder your knight on move 4. Right, next one. So here again, I've got the white pieces. We have e4, so different move order now, right? e4, knight to c6 in Nimzovich. Now d4, pawn comes out. You can see where this is going, right? Pawn to d4. Knight comes in, there's our little square, 3 pawns and a knight, c3 wins the knight. Knight is gone, and there you go. Okay, now things can mix up a little bit. We have, this is a completely different pattern, but again, happens in the first 10 moves. So here we've got a Piet's defense. I'm playing like the black lion against e4. So you have e4, d6, d4, and now I bring my knight out. We have an exchange of pawns, right? And then I capture white's queen, forcing the king to move, which means that White's king is not going to be able to castle in this game. I now then bring my knight forward. It makes sense. I'm attacking the f2 square with a fork on the king and the rook. And now we have bishop out to e3, defending the f2 square. Okay, the board right now is completely open, right? There's nothing to worry about. I don't have a care in the world. Material is equal. My opponent can't castle. This should be a nice game. I bring out my knight, and now f3. And check this out. Knight can't go there because king, knight, bishop. Can't go there because of the bishop. Can't go there because of this pawn, right? Can't go here because of the bishop. Can't go here or here because of this pawn. Can't go there because of the bishop. And can't go there because of pawn and knight, right? Look at this. The knight is trapped. So really, the pieces that are doing the most of the damage here is the fact that this knight is sandwiched between a bishop and a pawn. Right, so the pawn is covering 1, 2. The bishop is covering this one and this one. And then we've got, the home pieces are covering these 4 squares. So, yeah, really original trap there. But this should have been avoidable, really, quite honestly. I think instead of, for example, bringing that knight out, maybe even e6 at this point, and then if the pawn attacks the knight, at least I've got this and it's defended by a bishop. All right, there you go. You live and learn. So that's a pattern to watch out for. Okay, you've got a bishop and a pawn either side of your knight. You could be in trouble. Next example. Right, now this one actually occurs on move 10. So my opponent, we're both rated between 1350 and 1400. White starts with e4. I play the French. Knight comes out, d5, d5, takes, and d4. Okay, knight comes out, bishop comes out, pin the knight comes out there. Right, there's no sign of a trap right yet. Okay, knight to f6. White castles. I go in with an attack. Okay, and now dive in here thinking, aren't I clever? Isn't this good? I'm attacking White's queen. It just looks like a very natural, easy move. Queen dodges out the way. I block. And now bishop b2. Right? Obviously, that rank is out of bounds. That is covered by queen and bishop. That is covered by bishop and knight. Can't go there. That's covered by the bishop. That's covered by a pawn. And that's covered by the rook. The knight is trapped. The knight is lost. And I guess, the idea should be, okay, if I move my knight there, all right, let's say the queen moves out the way, which is quite natural, and giving check at the same time, where can my knight go? Right, if you're playing in the browser, just right click, just highlight the squares. Can't go there, can't go there, can't go there, can't go there. Right, just work your way around. And if there's no safe route out, you may want to rethink that move. Okay, next example. Okay, this game, my opponent is rated 727 and I'm rated 1349. So I'm over 600 points higher than this guy playing white. Okay, but let's see what happens in 6 moves. h4. Right? Wow. So I reply e5 and h5. The Kadash opening. Never heard of that. Probably never even seen it again in my entire life. So I push h6 to stop that pawn, bring a bishop out, bring a knight out, play d6. Now can you start to see the threat, right? And I'm kind of doing this to myself already. Where are the pawns? Right, I have my dark squared bishop has come out into the board. I've got quite a few dark squared pawns, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's an awful lot of pawns on dark squares around these parts. Okay, plus the A pawn has advanced to A4, and you've always got to be careful of that because now B4. And where has my bishop got to go, right? The only place I could go would be back to b6 and then a5, and the bishop's trapped against a player rated 727 on move 6. Wow. Okay, there you go. You can never be too careful. This is in a 60-minute game against a player rated 600 points lower, and I blunder a piece on move 6. Insane. All right, next one. e4 by white. So here we're both rated around 1200, so this is going back a little bit. Okay, so I play the Scandinavian, and he advances the pawn. Bring my bishop out, makes perfect sense. Knight comes out, and now e6 and d4. So far, so normal. And now what we've actually done is we've transposed into a reverse London system with the advanced d5 pawn. Now the knight comes out, and I go and pin the knight. Okay, bishop blocks, and I bring my knight to here, and now a3 kicks the bishop. Bishop moves back. Bishop comes out, and now I play queen to b6. Okay, and can you see the next move? Pretty obvious from this point in time. b4, right? Bringing my queen out here, I have blocked off this entire escape diagonal for my dark squared bishop, and with b4, bishop has nowhere to run. Okay, terrible, terrible. Right. Got a few more if you're still able to catch your breath. Okay, so here I'm rated over 1500. So this is a recent one. My opponent's rated 1491. Okay, so now we have, again, probably black lion. Yeah, black lion is starting. Takes. All fairly normal. Bring out a bishop. Pawn attacks my knight. Retreat my knight. And we are on move 8. And now I move my bishop to here. King castles in the corner, and I play queen to d2, right? Very natural looking move. Allows my king to castle that side if it wants. Maybe I'm going to bring my bishop out and stuff like that. But can you see, in this position, a potential trap? Now, fortunately, in this example, my opponent did not see the fact that I had a trapped piece. Right, the trapped piece, if you've seen it, the light squared bishop. Okay, light squared bishop. All white needs to do is advance f5, and the light squared bishop is lost. Okay, so you just got to get into that mindset of thinking, if I do that, am I trapping anything? Okay, that needs to be one of your conscious questions that you ask yourself before you make a move. Okay, do that until it starts to become natural. Next one. I'm rated 1213, my opponent's rated 1214, hit in this case. Okay, now this is an example where the piece doesn't get trapped, okay? So we have a centre game, takes. This is the Danish gambit, and we go for the full Danish with bishop to c4. My opponent here doesn't capture on b2, allowing me to line up my other bishop and release that. But here we have knight takes c3, which is a good move when the queen comes to here, because now you can think about attacking the queen and also the sensitive c7 square. All right. So now we have pawn to c6. I bring my knight out to e2, and b5 now threatens the bishop. That's fine. My bishop steps back. Now, if my opponent had already played a5 at that point, my bishop could not have retreated here. It would have had to have gone back to d3. Okay, but as it is, it's okay. So a5 is now played. And this is a bit pointless now, because all I need to do is play a3. Okay, now my bishop has a nice escape square. It can go in, hide in there, and act like a sniper for the rest of the game, still eyeing down on the f7 square. So when there's a risk of a trap, I mean, trapping bishops with a line of pawns is absolutely classic. This is bread and butter chess. Okay, so just remember that sometimes you might need to move one of your rook's pawns just move it 1 square forward, just to give that bishop a hidey hole where it can go and live in peace. All right, now for the final 2 examples. Are you ready to see the queen is dead? Long live whoever. Here again, going back a bit, I'm rated 1205. My opponent's rated 1122. We start with e4 by white. I play the Scandinavian, advances again. Bishop comes out, d4, and I play e6. So again, we're turning into this kind of reverse London. Knight comes out, pin the knight. Bishop comes out, queen to h4. Okay, seems kind of sensible. Knight attacks the queen. Queen moves across to g4, pinning the knight against the other queen, kinda. h3 attacks the queen. No problem, queen moves back. Okay. Now can you see the continuation? So here, white kicks my bishop retreats, kicks the bishop again, bishop comes back to b6. No worries there, okay? And now we're on move 9. Okay, can you spot the killer move? I'll give you a moment. The move is knight to h4. The queen cannot go here because of the pawn, cannot go here because of the bishop, cannot go there or there because of the queen and also this pawn. This bishop is guarding all of these squares, obviously. Can't go here because of the pawn. The queen is utterly lost. So all I can do in this situation is do a counter-attack. Right? So obviously the queen can't capture because I would capture and actually win the queen. So we have knight takes queen, bishop takes queen, knight takes rook. All right? So there you go. And it's not that hard, guys, to figure out, okay, how many from here. I mean, this is the problem. Queen back to there, right? Because this is kind of forced now. Kicks the bishop again, and now boom, the queen's gone. So how would I have spotted that, right? Because this is pretty much a forced sequence. I mean, queen back to there, knight straight to here, I think would also have won the queen, which is scary. And I think the issue comes because I moved off of this diagonal. Right? As long as I'm on that diagonal, I'm safe. Right? But with the pawn here, the knight's covering both of these squares. I don't know. That would have been... it's not easy to spot sometimes, eh? All right, final example. Okay, here we go. Another queen demise. e4, e5. Bishop game. Bishop's opening. Bishop to c4. Now the queen comes flying out. This is like a kind of delayed wayward queen. Obviously attacking this pawn. And I play knight to c3 to defend that pawn, which is the right move to do. Knight comes out now. Notice that the knight is now blocking off this particular diagonal. Right? Now my knight comes out to attack black's queen. Similar kind of a pattern. Queen moves back. Here I play d3. We have c6. I push a pawn. Black develops a bishop. And now g4. Right? Again, this bishop is covering that whole diagonal. The knight is covering these two squares. Queen can't go there. Can't go there because of pawns. And that would be the only remaining square. So the queen goes there. And now knight to e5. And the queen actually has nowhere to go. Right? So lots of good reasons why you don't want to be bringing your queen out too early in the game. And we've just seen 2 very painful reminders of that. So there you go. We're really, what is the lesson? If you're going to go marauding with your pieces, particularly the most valuable pieces like your queen, you've got to check your back. You've got to check that you've got an escape route. Okay? But if nothing else, remember that early, particularly if you're rated 1,000 and below, that knight trap in the opening, guys, you've got to be aware of that one, because it will just set you up to lose a game right in the opening, and nobody wants to be doing that. So there you go. Hope this has been entertaining, informative, useful. I hope it will help you to improve your chess as you go forward. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.